This is Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Here now, Tony Brueski.
This is a story that started out like most days do, out on Edisto Beach. Quiet, routine, almost forgettable in the best way. A kind of small coastal quiet that makes the rest of the world feel far away in the low country. Yes, this does take place in the land of Alec Murdaugh, but it's not a story about Alec Murdaugh or has anything to do with Alec Murdaugh, but we do get to revisit Collatine County again. And it's a beautiful place. I was there this summer. Vacationed there. I was at Edisto Beach. Beautiful place. Lovely. Very nice people. There you have raised homes built to outlast storms. Marshland that stretches into forever. On a Saturday morning around 11:30, the air was still until it wasn't. That's when everything broke. Flames tore through the beachfront home of South Carolina Circuit Court Judge Diane Goodstein. A blaze so intense, so sudden, that within minutes, the house was engulfed. Locals reported hearing what sounded like an explosion, loud, sharp, violent. The judge was not inside. She was out walking her dogs. But her husband, former Democratic State Senator Arnold Goodstein, her son, and another family member were. They didn't walk out. They had to be rescued from the marshy backyard. One by kayak, one reportedly jumped and shattered bones, another was airlifted with serious burns. This wasn't just a house fire. This was a fire that ripped through a family and left a crater where a home once stood. And from the beginning, something about it didn't sit right, because this didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened in the shadow of a storm Judge Goodstein had been weathering for weeks. One that started not with fire, but with a ruling. Just weeks before, Judge Goodstein had temporarily blocked the state's election commission from handing over voter registration files to the federal government. Files containing names, addresses, driver's license numbers, even social security digits. The DOJ wanted them as part of an executive order from the president designed to crack down on alleged non-citizen voting. She said no, at least for the moment. The South Carolina Supreme Court quickly reversed her decision, and the data was handed over. But the damage, politically and personally, was done. Her ruling made her a target, and according to multiple credible reports, the threats followed fast. Specific threats, death threats, the kind of threats that should have triggered a security protocol, the kind that turn judges from arbitrators into sitting ducks. Then the fire. Now, we're not here to speculate. We're not here to fill in the blanks that law enforcement hasn't confirmed. As of now, as of this recording, the fire remains undetermined. The State Law Enforcement Division, SLED, as you've heard if you've been paying attention to the Murdaugh world, is investigating. And to their credit, they were called in fast. They said the fire appeared to have involved an explosion. They haven't said arson. They haven't said accident. They haven't said anything conclusive as of right now. But the timeline speaks for itself. A judge issues a ruling that angers powerful federal actors. She received threats. Her house explodes. Her family is hospitalized, and nobody's ruling anything out. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's America today. That is a sequence of facts. And in any healthy society, we should be able to ask what happened here without being told we're being political for even raising the question. Now, let's be clear about what this isn't. This is not a case of a judge showing extreme leniency to a violent repeat offender. This isn't the case where a predator got released on bail and went on the hunt for someone else. Those cases exist, and yes, they infuriate everyone, rightfully so. And in those cases, we should absolutely be demanding better judicial oversight, better checks on desertion, real systems to hold judges accountable when their decisions directly endanger the public. But this is not one of those cases. This is a ruling about voter data. This is about the legal boundaries of what information a state can share with the federal government. And whether you agree with her decision or not, Judge Goodstein was operating entirely within her judicial capacity. Don't like it? Vote for somebody else and change the laws. She issued a temporary block. A higher court reversed it. That's how the system works, like it or not. Sometimes it works for your opinion. Sometimes it doesn't. Should that even exist as a mechanism? I don't know. But that's how it works right now. If this fire turns out to have been intentional, if someone set the blaze on purpose, then what we're looking at isn't legal accountability, it's political retribution. And that is not something we can afford to sit by and normalize. Because let's face this, we are in a moment where the judiciary is under assault, not just in a metaphorical sense, but in the literal physical one. Judges across the country have reported everything from death threats to stalkers to being pizza doxed, a tactic where anonymous senders send food to a judge's home to show they know where they live. We've had a federal judge's son murdered at murdered at their own front door. We've had courthouses evacuated, and yet we still treat judicial safety like a luxury instead of a necessity. When a judge is threatened or harmed for doing their job, it doesn't just harm them, it shakes the foundation of the legal system. Because if judges start looking over their shoulder every time they issue a ruling, the law doesn't stand a chance. It's not hard to imagine the chilling effect. You're a judge on the bench, you've got a politically sensitive case in front of you. You know that if you go one way, your name will trend on social media. You go the other way, you might be putting your family at risk. It's not a hypothetical. That's a world we're creeping into, and let's just be honest, we're not creeping there, we're solely there. And that is how you destroy judicial independence without passing a single law. If that's the world you want to live in. If you're sitting there going, well, good, she had it coming. Hey, dipshit, it can work the other way around, too. You won't like that, will ya? So if anyone of any side is sitting here going, well, then she shouldn't have ruled that way. Seek help. Seek help, if that's how you're thinking. You're not in a healthy place. Here's a hard truth. We need to build systems that allow judges to be held accountable when their rulings cause real-world harm, without a doubt. That is lacking, especially in criminal courtrooms where public safety is on the line. We do story after story about stupid rulings and no accountability for the judge who let a criminal loose that goes and kills innocent human beings that could have easily been stopped. We also need to draw a hard, bright line that political violence is never the answer, that retaliation is not justice, that arson is not rebuttal. You don't get to torch someone's house because you didn't like a decision. That's not being a patriot. That's not being someone fighting for America. That's being a domestic terrorist, just like Timothy McVeigh. And again, let's be honest. If you're sitting here going, had it coming, well, then you're no better than McVeigh yourself. Because we start normalizing that way of thinking, that this is a healthy way to do things, that ain't good. If we don't call it that, if we look the other way or make excuses or pretend like it's just the price of doing business, then we're complicit in normalizing this. And once that door is open, it doesn't close again. If one judge can be targeted, so can the next, and the next. And eventually, the only rulings you get are the ones that don't make anyone angry. And those are the most dangerous rulings of all. So what needs to happen? Well, SLED needs to finish their investigation and tell the public the truth, whatever it is. If it was accidental, say so. The sooner the better, honestly. Show us. If it was intentional, say that too. Don't soften it. Don't bury it. If this was political violence, we need to call it by its name. And more broadly, we need to upgrade how we treat threats. No more shrugging. No more saying, well, it comes with a job. No, it doesn't. Because this is America. Remember? You know? We're not supposed to live in a world like that. If you want that, there are third world countries, which we're quickly becoming. But if you like that whole being great shit, no, this ain't it. No one signs up for public service expecting to bury a family member because they issued a lawful ruling. Most of all, we need to be better as a public, because disagreement is not persecution. Losing a case is not a reason to send death threats. Not liking a judge's ruling doesn't mean the judge is corrupt. It means the system is working. You've got your day in court. You didn't win. That's not tyranny, that's democracy. And if that's not good enough for you, your issue isn't with the judge. Your issue is with the rule of law itself, and probably with yourself too. Why do you hate yourself so much? Here's the bottom line. No matter what SLED finds, we've already seen too much to go back to pretending. This isn't normal. This can't become normal. Because the moment we stop protecting the people who interpret the law is the moment the law stops protecting us. And if you burn down the system just because you don't like how it ruled, don't be surprised when you're the one left standing in the ashes. Again, as of this recording, we don't know what exactly happened here. But if you put the facts in line, it doesn't look very good. Let's hope that it is something else. Gas leak, maybe. I don't know. It certainly does make, regardless of whatever this ends up turning out to be, even if it does turn out to be something that was not a nefarious act, it brings some light to a lot of cases and the reality we have going on around our country right now with a lot of these judges, of the dangers that come along with being on the bench for doing their job that they were elected to do. Whether you agree or disagree with them or not, this cannot ever be the answer. There's ways of letting your voice be heard. There's ways of protesting. There's ways of picketing outside a courthouse, screaming and letting that judge know you don't agree with them. This is not it. Your thoughts in the comments section. Wherever you are getting podcasts, be sure to press subscribe. Instead of sending the cases we're covering for you right here. I'm Tony Brueski. We'll talk again real.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Brueski and the Hidden Killers podcast.